One day I'm gonna be everything I wanna be. I don't let it get the most of me. One day I'm gonna be free. I wanna be everything I'm gonna be. My future right in front of me. One day I'm gonna be free. I wanna be free. So let me be free. One day I'm gonna be free. Mentally and physically, emotionally and spiritually. One day I'm gonna be free. I'm standing at the crossroads. I'm feeling like a lost soul. Don't know where I wanna go, but all I know is I wanna be free. They're telling me to let it be, but that just ain't in me, no. Jealousy and envy, but all I see is I wanna be free. See everything I wanna be, exactly what I'm gonna be. Don't let it get the most of me. Eventually, I'm gonna be free. See everything I wanna be, exactly what I'm gonna be. Yeah. One day I'm gonna be free. I'm gonna be free. Let me be free. One day I'm gonna be free. Mentally and physically, emotionally and spiritually. Yeah. One day I'm gonna be free. I told them take their aim off me. Stop trying to get a name off me. If they would just let me be, I'm gonna be free. I told them take some chains off me and throw away the locks and keys. If they would just let me be, eventually I'm gonna be free.
They're back.
Yes, sir. Get it in. Big round of applause for all of you guys. Yeah.
What up? What up? What up?
What up, Doe?
What up, everybody? It's another week, 7 days, and went by, and we're back again to drop another story on the Dominant Effect. I'm Archbishop. We got Mike Ball and we got Aaron Olinger. So before we jump into this story, just like always, we're gonna find out how everybody doing, how their week went, and then we're gonna jump into this story. So, Aaron, we're gonna start with you. How'd your week go, brother?
Oh, it went pretty well. I had a gun show this past weekend. I went and vended at. Got to work with my daughter, so we got to spend some quality time together and make a little money together. So you can't go wrong with family if you can make money together. So
Damn
what's up.
straight.
I'll hold it there.
What about you, Mike?
Yeah, man. It's been good. It's been a lot of I think that as much as pretty much everyone else in here in this chat. It's been a radical. I mean, it's almost been like this for 3 months straight. You know, where it's just a week after week after week of just crazy nonsense, and it's just getting worse and worse and worse. And being that it is getting worse, it's something that I am covering actively every day to the point where I'm doing 2-3 shows a day because of the immense amount, the sheer amount of information that's coming out, the breaking news, it's not just here in the United States, man. It's all around the world, and that's something that we're going to be touching on today. How about you, AB?
Well, work like always. You know what I mean? I took a little break last week. Moved around a little bit. Had to just take a rest for a minute. You know. Now I got a cold, so y'all hear me coughing on here every now and again. Excuse me. I'm gonna try to mute it as much as possible, but I got a head cold right now. But did a little shooting last night.
No
for
shit.
the other movie. Yeah, for the other movie that I'm talking about, Standing No Business. Had some shooting last night, and then I got some more tomorrow. They trying to get that one done and move on to the next project. But we ended up having a malfunction with the red carpet.
Oh,
Remember that was supposed to have been Sunday.
Yeah,
But
that's right.
the place that they were doing it at took heavy damage during the hurricane.
Oh shit! No way. I didn't even think of that.
Yeah, it took on heavy damage, and they was trying to get everything together. By that time, there was a lake that was probably about 100 yards away that had flooded all the way up to the door. Not a whole lot of structural damage, but trees down. They had the flooding.
It's an ordeal.
Lost power, and I mean, it got to the point that they tried to get everything done, but they couldn't get it done in time, so they ended up postponing it and set a new date for November 23rd.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so they're gonna try to redo it then. I think they end up picking a totally different venue because they're still working on getting that building back together from the flooding. And
so it didn't go directly to the venue. Essentially, it went through a third party who set it up with the venue.
No.
Or the movie people themselves decided.
Right.
Okay, got you.
So they end up switching it to another location because I guess they're still working on the previous building, because like I said, it took some damage.
Shit's all messed up, huh?
Right. And there's actually still places right now that still doesn't have power from the hurricane. So
lots of people.
Yeah.
So
they're still working on that. So like I said, it's supposed to be a new place, new venue. Well, they're gonna hit it with that. I mean, I know a lot of people was disappointed. People had to cancel their tickets, and the people was flying in, had to cancel tickets, stuff like that. Really wasn't much we could do about that. You know what I mean? But
no, it's out of your. Everyone knows,
Right.
man. That's out of your. That's not your fault. Like.
Yeah, it was out of my hands once the storm came. It was pretty much out of everybody's hands at that point. We just kind of just crossing your fingers and hoping that it didn't do too much damage there, but it did.
Right.
And that place was literally 15 miles north of Tampa. So it picked up a lot of the heavy rain and hurricanes force winds and stuff like that. So it took a lot of damage up in that area.
Sucks.
We end up picking up, a little bit. I mean, we got trees down and stuff like that, but it didn't structurally tear up anything.
Right. It didn't demolish where it's no longer a building or anything. Right.
Right.
But still,
we took a lot of water. I mean, there's still lakes and stuff now that's I know right down the street here, we got a lake that they have cones up because it's actually flowing in the right lane from the actual lake where it came up so high. So, they still going through stuff right now. So, we didn't get it as bad as a lot of people did, but it's a lot of areas around here that still tore up. Not like North Carolina, but tore up nonetheless.
Crazy. Unfortunate.
Yeah, so we're gonna this topic tonight. A couple times you may have heard us talk about BRICS and what BRICS was about. Well, you know, we got 2 weeks away from the presidential election, and then we have this BRIC Summit that's actually going on right now. Started yesterday,
Yep.
and we'll go through until tomorrow. And we're going to talk about it. We're going to talk about the reason for this summit. We're going to talk about who all have they invited, who was added to it, what's the whole purpose of it, you know, to try to give people an understanding as to what this is really about, because this is a real thing. This isn't something that we need to take lightly, because it is a real thing. And from the talk and what we're getting information wise, this is something that can very easily happen, and there's not really much anybody can do about it for real. So so we're gonna jump into it. I think before, let me play this. I'm gonna play this short little video here. It's like a minute and a half long.
Cool.
And then we'll jump right into it.
Let's run it.
Something huge is about to happen, and United States dominance is on the line right now. Well, the global world order is being rearranged right before our eyes right now, and Washington, D.C. is desperately trying to hold on to power. There is a global war that is quietly happening that they don't want you to know about. Let's start with what's happening in Russia in just 9 days from now, a global showdown that is unprecedented in its scale and its implications. A titanic struggle is about to unfold between NATO and the BRICS nations. The timing, by the way, is set on purpose right before the United States election. It's a clear message from Putin and China that American dominance is coming to an end. This clash will officially kick off at the eagerly anticipated BRICS Summit in Kazan, Russia on October 22nd. A global battle over resources, the unraveling of the US dollar's dominance, the sort of fighting to hang on from NATO, and the potential shift for a seismic shift in global power dynamics right now. This is the equivalent right now of the Bretton Woods Conference after World War II, which gave American dollar reserve currency status around the world. This BRICS summit represents the death of the Bretton Woods Conference and the end of US dollar dominance. Donald Trump said this is going to be worse than losing a war.
Our country's going to hell, and we're not going to be the big bar. We have power, but it's waning. In fact, it's waning in terms of our currency. And I'm not just talking about the value of our currency. I'm talking about our currency being used throughout the world.
You want it to remain. You want the dollar to remain the world's reserve currency.
Well, I think it's bigger than losing any war.
And Trump
Man, Trump's not even wrong on that statement on the end there. It's like, that's like the worst thing that we could go through. It's like losing a fucking full-on war right there.
Right. Actually, I'm kind of shocked that they even talked about it, because you notice during this whole campaign, ain't nobody discussed this.
Almost not a single time. I don't think
Right.
that even happened.
Nobody
once.
has even asked the question
That's a
during
good
the
fucking
debate or anything else.
good observation, AB.
So that was one of the things that I kept thinking about the whole time. It was actually a couple sites that I was on that you could leave questions for them to, you know, to
For BRICS?
pick questions to answer. No. For the, you know, they were doing the debates and town hall meetings.
Oh, okay, yeah.
There was a website that you could go to that you could put down questions, and they would pick those questions and ask. And every one of them I found, I put that same question. You know, first question is what do you think about BRICS?
What about BRICS?
Two,
yeah.
Right. And two, how can you fix it? But, you know, the biggest thing about this one, though, is that it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter who's elected, because neither one of them can fix it.
Now, hold on. Before you go super in depth, we haven't even clarified what BRICS is for other people in the chat that don't even know.
Matter of fact, let's do this. I'm gonna let Aaron bring up exactly what BRICS is, and then we're gonna jump into what I was just talking about.
Cool.
Okay. What BRICS is they're looking currently to challenge the dominance and be the counter to the West's dominance of the US dollar. BRICS stands for Brazil, Russia, India, China, and South Africa. That's your core mother chapter right there. That's bringing in these other, what they call the NIC, which is the newly industrialized countries. A lot of these countries were colonized at one time. They're coming forward with their own natural resources. They're getting into the world market. And BRICS is offering them an opportunity to be treated as equals. If you tune in to BRIC Summit right now, what you'll see is they're sitting at a round table. No one is the leader. Each year, that location and that meeting will change to a host nation. This year, the host nation is Russia, and it's in Kazan, Russia is where they're hosting it at. Putin is the host this year. Last year, it was China, I believe, that did the hosting. But they're telling these newly industrialized countries, you come with us, you're going to be treated as an equal. We're not going to hold our currencies over your head. We're not going to weaponize nothing against you. You'll be treated as an equal in humanity and military as well as economics. And that's wooing a lot of these new countries in. I mean, right now, you've got India, Saudi Arabia, China, Brazil, South Africa, Russia, Iran, Egypt, Ethiopia, United Arab Emirates, Venezuela, Bolivia, Cuba, Uruguay, Turkey, Mexico, Bolivia, Ecuador. And then there's a question mark on Argentina. At first, Argentina was whole hog on going in, but something happened and they may pull out. I don't know if they're being put out.
As of right this second, since January 1st, Argentina has been in and is still in this second. Just for your knowledge, yeah.
But they're holding. There's something that's going on that they're kind of holding them in a bad light. And then there's three other countries that, and I'm gonna say who they are. That's in that group: India, Saudi Arabia, and United Arab Emirates. They don't want to antagonize the West. And you can't be in BRICS and you're coming against the US dollar as the world currency and not cause some sort of antagonism. I mean, that's an impossibility.
Right.
And
right.
what
you direct
saw
threat.
Trump, right. What you saw Trump say that we're losing right now, he's right. In my research I did, it said that the dollar has fallen in world reserves right now from 71% and to 55% right now. I mean, as they de-dollarize, US dollar is losing clout really bad. And this has just happened in the last year or two. And it's continually to decline. It's not increasing. And right now, some of the experts are saying we might have one more year to print the US dollar. There's others that are saying we got 10 more years. But when they stop printing, that's when they're going to bring in the blockchain digital currencies, and the Federal Reserve has already got it up. And the only way they can bring it in is the dollar has to collapse. So there could be a disaster, an economic disaster in the near future. So
no, you're very right.
I'm gonna stop right there for right now.
Well, real quick on that whole thing. I mean, you just got to think about the GDP of like what the combined. I mean, just China alone. You know what I mean? Just that alone, right, is humongous. So I want to give you guys. I mean, I have a ton of stats here, and I'm not going to go deep or anything. I just want to give you guys a GDP idea. The BRICS countries have a combined GDP of around, in U.S. currency, $28 trillion. Which is about 27% of the world's gross product. The BRICS countries' share of the world's GDP is 35% compared to 30% for the G7 countries, which is absolutely insane. It's nuts.
Right. Also, it's 45% of the world population.
Yep.
You got over 40% of the global oil production. 1/4 of the goods.
Mm-hmm. Big time.
And all those countries combined covers about 35% of the Earth's surface.
Humongous.
So I mean, you got a lot of people that's going this way, but you know, there's a lot of stuff that we as Americans, okay, that if you not really doing your investigations and that wouldn't know anything about none of this stuff. So you know, throughout the years, even, you know, once we went back, let's say we went all the way back from the petrodollar up, once the US dollar became the dominant currency, not only did it become the dominant currency, but it was also used as a weapon. And they used the currency to put out sanctions, tariffs, and other things to a lot of these countries. Actually, a lot of these countries that's going over to BRICS, or a lot of the countries that's right now under tariffs, sanctions, and other restrictions. You know, so a lot of them, you know, I mean, it was like, okay, this is another way for us to be able to not have to worry about these sanctions and still be able to move around. You know, but what you also got to understand too, that with them using this as a weapon, it kind of eroded the international trust of the dollar.
Yep.
So basically they lost confidence in it. You know what I mean?
It's all a social construct. That's what it is. Money's a social construct, man.
Right.
Yep.
So
it's crazy.
Right. So you got all these countries that's just running around trying to find other alternatives.
Yep.
To use.
And then once they find that better alternative and it's a little bit better benefits for them, well, that deal was up just with the whole Saudi Arabia ordeal with the petrodollar. I mean, just that alone was just not even 6 months ago or something like that. And that was a 50.
That was in what, June? June
right.
9th.
June.
Right. So very, very recent. And so that was a 50-year contract with the United States, essentially. And it, boom, as soon as that goes, and you called it, AB, you said, watch this shit. Watch it. Back then, you were like months ago going, watch what's how this is going to trickle down, you know, and it's actively happening. It's crazy.
It's
let me ask you at this point. Someone asked in the questions, what is de-dollarization? Basically, with the US dollar being the world currency, a country would have to work very hard with their labor force to take their money and purchase US dollars. And we make like 3% on every $1 billion, which is quite a bit of money, actually.
It is
that we sell to a nation. And then they take that money and use that money to pay for the products that they import into their country. Now, with tariffs, we're charging access to our markets and we're putting a tax on it that hurts a lot of people trying to ship stuff in here. Sanctions, we're denying you the use of our money. And if you can't get access to our money, then you can't trade on the world market. So in de-dollarization, what they're doing is they're finding, the BRICS Alliance is finding other currencies such as oil and gold and even grain to trade in. And they're telling member nations that they can use their own currency. There is no need for the US dollar any longer. So you want to see how high inflation will go? You wait till those unpatriated dollars start rolling back in here with no gold or silver backing it. And to give you an example, you take a glass of milk and you keep every 5 minutes adding a teaspoon of water to it, and that milk is only a half size, half a glass. By the time that water gets to the top, that milk is so diluted, it's not worth being milk anymore. That's what's going to happen when all those unpatriated dollars come back in here. And then you add on top of that, the rate of inflation is going to go high. If you think you're paying a lot now, you wait till you see how high things is going to get over here when all those billions of dollars come rolling back in here with no gold or silver backing it, and it's going to dilute the value of your money.
It's going to be terrible.
The de-dollarization is economic warfare against us. Our economic warfare is tariff and sanctions. And right now, 1/3 of the world, we got 1/3 of the world right now under tariffs and sanctions, and 60% of them are poor countries, and we got them under sanctions. So we're really riding roughshod over a lot of people right now, and people are getting sick of it, and they're looking for an alternative means, and BRIC Alliance is offering them the alternative. I'm gonna stop there.
And real quick, I want to give a shout out to Brother Lee Lance for gifting over $5 to the Cash App, man. I very much appreciate it, man. Thank you for that.
Yeah, when we was what I was saying earlier, and then I stopped. When we talking about this situation here, and it's one thing that we gotta put into contrast here, is because this particular situation here is not a problem that the president, whomever it may be, can fix. This isn't a policy issue. This is a debt problem. Is basically what we're facing. And the reason why is because we're the most indebted country in the world. And the only solution that they've been doing throughout the years is printing more money, which further devalues the dollar. And it moves the rest of the world closer to de-dollarization. You know what I mean? So I guess part of my question that I'm gonna ask both of you your opinion is that, you know, throughout the years in these different presidencies, they had different people that's in charge of the Fed, different people that's you know, their job is to deal with this money, okay, make this money work, you know, so that we, you know, get something back off of our investment and be able to have money to deal with everything else that we dealing with. You know what I mean? Because of course we not only are we the police of the world, but we also the goodwill of the world too, because we're giving money to everybody else except who you
No
supposed to give it
kidding.
to.
Mm-hmm.
So how is it that it's gotten to the point that it has, and like it's been totally hidden?
Mm-hmm.
Nobody's said nothing about it.
You're right.
So until this whole BRICS thing even came out, and you know, they started talking about BRICS back in 2009.
Yes.
But it was just like it just came out and it was like, ain't nobody worried about that. You know, and then now it's more to the forefront in your face, to where you have no choice but to pay
Well, it
attention.
actually goes even back
what's
further
going on.
than that. The ideology came in 2001. And then it
True.
was implemented later down the line. But it's very interesting how the timeline of that was like planned out years in advance, you know, and they saw what opportunities they may not could have taken at that moment, but maybe down the line.
Right. You know what I mean? Because it kind of seems like the idea came about. Now, these guys were serious about it because they're still talking about it. I'm talking about more on our end, was like, they ain't about to do nothing. You know what I mean? We just keep going status quo. Everything gonna be all right. Don't worry about them. And then now you looking and you seeing all these other countries, and actually some of these, like Turkey, for instance, who's actually a NATO member, is supposed to be your boys, is going over here like, okay, well, let me, you know what I mean? Let me see what y'all offering over here. You know what I mean? Because you remember back in the day, what they say, money talks.
It's
Money
true.
talks.
It does.
So if I can go over here and I can do this, and you know, even with that's not even, BRICS isn't actually a paper. Well, it's not even actually a paper currency type deal anyway. It was all going to be CBDC. You know what I mean? And it's a whole different thing up under that. Because have y'all heard of Project Enbridge?
No,
heard of that, Aaron?
I have not.
See, bam, see.
So you gotta tune us in. You know what I mean?
Let me tell you what it is. So Project Enbridge, it's a launch of a new central bank digital currency system, new CBDC. It's a platform that they came up with, and it's based out of China. Okay. Now this platform is a cross-border. It does cross-border payments and foreign exchange transactions that was created using CBDC and distributed ledger technology. So based off an actual Chinese blockchain called the Enbridge Ledger, this platform is designed to ensure compliance with jurisdiction specific policies and legal requirements. Here's the key part, though. The bridge offers an alternative that is designed to be politically neutral, and allowing central banks to enforce their own sanctions rather than having a centralized body like SWIFT to impose them. So so you can go through this and completely get around SWIFT altogether.
Yeah, this sounds like the Chinese version of like Bitcoin, but way bigger on scale. It's actually an entire blockchain. It's not just a Bitcoin. It's not just one thing. It's a whole blockchain. Oh my
Exactly.
God. This is
Exactly.
this is not good, dude.
So
This is
so
not
you
good.
know how like they were, you remember how like when the US started putting sanctions on Russia and the Russian oligarchs and all that, what did they do? They hit SWIFT. So SWIFT was like, no, we ain't giving you no more money. So then thinking that was going to be like, okay, we're going to cripple them because SWIFT is no longer going to give them funds. And then they started getting money from China, started getting money from North Korea, stuff like that, to be able to, still keep it pumping because they use SWIFT. Well, by using this bridge, you don't have to worry about SWIFT altogether. This is a totally different thing.
It's a bypass of all of it. It's just
Exactly.
a shortcut. Now we do it our way. We regulate it our way. We run this shit now. Totally
Exactly.
independent of you fuckers.
Exactly. Exactly. So it's all basically set up. Everything that they're talking about doing, it's actually set up to go.
Yes. Yes. And this is what's crazy about it. People don't even fucking understand the longevity of this shit. I mean, it was set up like we were talking about since the idea of 2001, and it's all the way 2024 for them to really start getting this shit fucking going. Well, look what they did. They set themselves up for success actually by backdooring this shit. It's crazy.
I think a couple things here, like when we talking about this, and the average person listening to this who didn't even know anything about this,
sure,
would think about, well, a couple things would happen. What they would think about. Number one, this has never happened before. And number two, how would you respond to this?
Right.
Because
what can you do?
Yes. Because one thing you need to know is that your $100 here in the US is not $100 anywhere else.
That's
it's
right.
only $100 right here.
Yes, correct. It definitely
Everywhere
changes.
else it was back in June, July, it was hovering right around 75. Probably now it's probably roughly about 67, 68 to your 100.
So yeah,
And
$68 per $100, right?
$68 to your 100.
Mm-hmm.
So it's dropping, and it's dropping rapidly. So I think the biggest question is that we need to get these so-called mathematicians and these economic minds of like, okay, so what the fuck did y'all do? And fix this. You know what I mean? Because you just in a toilet bowl, just circling the drain right now. You know what I mean? And if you don't fix it, you know what I mean? And I'm not talking about waiting until, whoever wins the election and let them jump in and try to do something. I'm talking about this has to start today.
Well, do you think, let me ask you a question, honest question. Do you think that within the election, right, and BRICS, do you think that the question really hasn't been let out and really been talked about at all during this election because there is no easy answer to this shit?
I think one, that is not an easy answer to it. And two, I think they really don't want people to know.
Yeah, because they would be in panic.
Exactly. I don't think they really want people to know that, okay, this is what's going on. You know what I mean? Because you think about it. This is supposed to be the land of opportunity.
Yes, we're the top dog. We've always been. Right. We grew up that way. We're the bullies of the world. Fuck everyone. This is our shit. Live our rules or don't. We're gonna, there's only one option here. You're gonna abide by us, And so with that mentality, forever, now all of a sudden maybe we're not as strong as we may have once been.
Yeah, so it's going to the shitter. Matter of fact, I got a video here I'm gonna play right quick.
Hell yeah.
It's a couple minutes, but it gives a lot of information.
Get your pen
Gives
and
a lot of-
paper out. You
Gives
know
a
what I
lot of
mean?
information.
It's time.
So this guy here is going to tell you some stuff that even probably we didn't even know.
Sure.
And I'm talking about the meeting that's going to take place next week in Kazan, Russia, of the BRICS, the Brazil, Russia, India, China, South Africa organization, which now has 4 additional members, maybe 5 additional members if the Saudis finalize their application, but also another 30 to 40 countries trying to join. Now, most people have no idea what the BRICS represent. They may have heard of it. They may have heard of the de-dollarization. But I want you to hear from a person on the inside who is the former vice president of the New Development Bank, which is the credit agency, the bank of the BRICS, a man named Paulo Nogueira Batista Jr. And he was speaking following some meetings in the last weeks of representatives of the various nations that are part of the BRICS. And here's what he said. The current international monetary and financial system, controlled by the West, is actually unreformable. That is, you can't reform it. You can't make it work. Therefore, he said, quote, we need to construct an alternative international payment system immune to extraterritorial sanctions from the United States and others. We need to build a new unit of account, which could be a basket of currencies of the BRICS or a subset of the BRICS. We need to use this perhaps as a transitional device to construct a new reserve currency, which would be an alternative to the US dollar and the euro. And that's the discussion of de-dollarization, that the problem that we're facing right now is that much of the world no longer trusts the West for good reason. We've seen the weaponization of the dollar through the International Monetary Fund conditionalities, through sanctions, through the fact that if you have a payment system dependent on dollars, nations have to go to the banks, particularly the British banks, to get dollars, where they have to pay extra for the ability to have dollars to settle accounts. Now, this has added to the consolidation of power of the central banks, which is at the heart of the idea of the Great Reset. Now, in order to avoid this weaponization and to avoid the power of the private central banks, because central banks are not controlled by governments, they're controlled by the private banks. In order to overcome that, you need to develop a new system, an economic development system, to replace a monetary system. Now, what's the problem with a monetary system? Well, on the one side, you have radical monetarism, that is financialization, the idea that you make money by betting on financial instruments, buying and selling, going short, and so on. Does that add anything real to the economy? No. In fact, it subtracts. It increases the overall debt. It decreases the ability of nations to have credit to invest in areas of real physical economy. Furthermore, you have the advance of, or the move to get rid of sovereign nation states, because in case nations object to the weaponization policies, the fact that they can't get credit, the fact that their goods are essentially stolen through looting, that means that there's no sovereignty. So nations are looking to restore sovereign rights. But it also is a technocracy. The current system is trying to replace representative governments because they say that if constituents have influence on the people who make the laws, then it takes power out of the hands of the bankers and puts it into the population. And they don't want that. They don't want an American system-style government outside of or anywhere in the world.
Mm,
Crazy, right?
yeah. I want to hear Aaron's point of view on this.
Well, I got a couple to make because you guys are making some strong points. On the CBDC, central bank digital currencies, we don't ever want to see that get invoked because they're going to create a disaster. It's going to be an economic collapse of the dollar, and they're going to let people suffer for a minute. So when they decide to bring that in, you will say, I will accept it just to get some relief and be able to buy food again and things. Because when the dollar, when they decide to let it fold, it's not going to be worth nothing. I mean, you're going to work working for what? A check that you can't cash. So the only way that you're going to be able to get money is you're going to have to agree to accept central bank digital currencies. And that's a people control thing right there. There will be nothing that you will do. I mean, you will be working for bank credits on a computer screen. And you're one step closer to what the Bible talked about in the book of Revelations, not the non-currency system that we'll be getting close to. You're one step from it when you go to the central bank digital currencies. And then after that, it'd be just computer chipping people and going from there. It's total population control. And under CBDC, if you're a prepper, you're not going to be prepping. You start buying a bunch of bullets or guns, or you start buying a bunch of cases of water, you're going to get a knock at your door, and people are going to want to know, why are you stocking up all this? Because they're going to be able to track every single transaction you do.
Yep.
If you decide to have a garage sale and you say, well, I made $200 in my garage sale, I'm going to put that money in my pocket. Nope. IRS will track every dollar that you take in because you're working for credits on a computer screen, and they can track every single thing. These guys out here thinking they selling weed, oh, that's going to be tracked too.
Mhm.
You're going to be paying tax on every single dollar that you got coming in. And they're going to be coming knocking at your door wanting to know why you stocking up. Well, where's our cut of this money? I mean, it is a total population control thing. So you don't ever want to see that get invoked. Two, I want to go to gold for a second. Gold has an
I'm glad that
inverse
you're talking
relationship.
about that.
Yeah. Gold has an inverse relationship with the dollar. When the dollar is strong, gold is low. They say it's an inflation hedge, but if let's say the dollar is losing value, gold goes up in value. I mean, less than say 2 years ago, gold was right around $1,800 an ounce. Today, because the dollar's losing value, gold is at $2,725.57 an ounce.
That's
I mean,
insane.
30 years ago when I used to buy gold, I was paying $70 an ounce for gold. And when it hit 450,
Yeah, my chain's going up in value. Let's go. Yeah, no, I'm just fucking around.
Actually, it is.
Yeah, I know.
But when it hit 450, I sold it. Now I can just kick myself in the butt, because if I'd have held on to it at $2,725.57 an ounce, I'd be a rich man right now if I'd have held it instead of thinking it topped out. But it's going up and up and up. Now, with the Federal Reserve, which is nothing federal about them, they're owned by the Rothschild family. They're just another central bank system here in the United States, and we use their money. It says clearly on the back of the dollar, Federal Reserve note. It's their money, and we use it as currency. With de-dollarization, a lot of countries right now are getting away from the dollar, and they're going out buying gold.
I'm straight.
With Federal Reserve bragging that they're bringing down, what do they call it? Inflation. Oh yeah, we're bringing it down. It's down to 2%. I haven't seen it at no stores or car dealerships or anywhere. Prices are still high. Who are you kidding? And let's say if you are bringing it down, I don't give you credit when you created the mess to begin with. You thought it was great to have high inflation. Biden said himself, a little bit of inflation never hurt anybody, but it literally robs people of their money that they have in the bank. You can't hardly save in a high inflationary period because everything costs more. So your money doesn't stretch as far. But right now, with, let's say that if they're telling the truth and they're bringing inflation down, then the cost of gold should be going down with it because of that inverse relationship. The dollar should be getting stronger. It's not. Why? Because the foreign governments are dropping the dollar for gold, and the foreign bank purchases are driving this. So we're seeing a situation that doesn't make sense financially, that gold should still be going up when if inflation's coming down, gold should be coming down with it, and it's not. So we're seeing something totally different that we've never seen before. And why is the foreign governments pursuing gold right now? Because the United States government seized $300 billion from the Russians in assets this year, and they're using it to fund the Ukrainian war. And when that was seen by all the foreign governments who have gold over here in our vaults and got money over here invested in our markets, when they saw that and saw that we did that so easily, they started calling us a bunch of damn pirates. And they started deciding they wanted to get their assets out of here. And if they couldn't, then they was going to liquidate it and purchase gold and have it shipped back to them. They're not leaving it over here where we can steal it from them anytime we get ready. And they're de-dollarizing. So that is having a great effect against us right now. You got 1,000 metric tons of gold that's being purchased by the central banks around the world right now in these different countries. They're getting away from the dollar and they're going to gold. We screwed up when we got off the gold currency back in 1972. It was either 72 or 73. We got off of that, and man, that was a mistake. Now we don't know how much gold we have. I mean, they say there's something in Fort Knox. They say there's something under the streets of New York, but is there? And is it enough to cover all the money that we've printed? I would say absolutely not, because once we got off that standard, we started printing money endlessly, and nobody could prove it until just recently when China called us out on the mats. They're saying, you're printing up all this money, you got to go to back it. And we didn't have an answer for them. So they started getting with Russia. They started forming this BRIC alliance. These other countries are jumping in, and they're getting ready to move away from the dollar. And seeing that we lost the petrodollar agreement, which was helping keep our money the world currency, we're falling deeper and deeper into the rabbit hole right now. And when we got into the Great Depression, it took World War II to bring us out of it. Now we could be going into a depression that would be even higher, because we're at what, $35 trillion in national debt. We can't even pay the interest payments on that. That's another reason why our national credit rating went down. And then we're spending 120% of the GDP, which is 20% above what we're taking in. If you were to operate your home and you was to constantly pay more out than what you got coming in, you'd be bankrupt in a short period of time. You can't function that way. This is total fiscal irresponsibility on the part of the government to let this shit happen. And if they start to fix it, it'd be like the Great Depression. It took 15 years to fix that problem. It'd probably take that or more. But will they let the dollar collapse, or will they go ahead and try to bring something forward, or will they go to war over what's going to happen to us behind this BRICS thing? Because there's nothing more profitable than war and illness. So it's going to be something to see. And I'll say one last thing. The shared treasuries, which our treasuries is our debt that we sell to foreign governments right now, that helps keep our economy afloat. In 2015, we were selling 34% of our debt to foreign governments. In 2024, it's down to 22%, because due to de-dollarization, China, Russia, and different ones is no longer buying our debt. The countries that are buying our debt is Canada, Great Britain, Japan, and Taiwan. So if you get to wondering why they're going to go to war over Taiwan, they're buying our debt, helping to keep us afloat. So I'll stop there for right now.
Okay, so when you dropped from the gold standard in 72, you picked up the petrodollar in 74. You lost it in 24. So I guess my question would be, why didn't they just go back up under the gold standard from the, you know what I mean? Like once they knew that this
Right.
petrodollar
Why not go
was
back
about
to it?
why not just go back
Because
to it?
it worked, right?
You know
So
what I
why
mean?
not
And
go
you,
back to it?
right. And I guess my second question
That
would
is a
be,
good question, AB.
my second question would be is that if you paying so much in interest, right? And you spending so much money now, like you say, we got troops abroad. You got troops in just about every country you could think of right now. You got troops in places that they shouldn't even be in right now. You paying you sending money to Ukraine. You just gave Israel $5 billion today.
Yep.
So and you study, like you taking gold from Russia. You done found some gold that's over in Lebanon. I done heard. You done found some gold. You found a shitload of gold over in Saudi Arabia. During the Saddam Hussein and during Desert Storm. I know that for a fact. So why not just pay your fucking debt? Stay away from the other shit. You know what I mean? And just be okay.
Because the
You know what I'm
United
saying?
States can't go bankrupt. That's the whole thing, right?
That's the
So they're
thing,
just
though.
gonna kick the can down the road.
I mean, but like, do anybody know like when did this debt actually start? You know what I mean? Because I'm gonna give you a hint. When Bill Clinton left office, mind you, motherfuckers ain't like Bill Clinton, and wherever he put the cigar and dipped it, and whatever he did in the White House, that's his business. But when Bill Clinton left office, you had zero debt. Zero. We were actually in a surplus, not in debt. So everything that took place, this 35 trillion,
It was very
took place
recent.
from that time on.
Yes.
You know what I mean? Because mind you, you may not like the motherfucker, but whoever it was that was in charge of that money during that time made sure the debts was paid. We didn't owe anybody shit. You know what I mean? Now we just cycling around and we steady giving money to people.
No fucking kidding.
You know
I
what I
know
mean?
it's mind
You don't
blowing.
have money,
Mind blowing. We don't have
to
money,
people.
and we're just flaunting billions.
You know, you sitting here right now. You got people that went through Hurricane Milton, Hurricane Helene.
They're getting $750, homie.
Right. You offer them $750, and a lot of them, when they going through putting in the
they can't even get it. They don't qualify.
Application. They just straight up denying them.
Yeah, they don't qualify. Yeah.
Yeah. So now everybody's getting that. And then
No
you got
fucking kidding.
FEMA that came in, and FEMA comes in, and granted, they really ain't doing shit because they done pulled money from FEMA to give to somebody else. So that's why you're not getting any money. And then they come in, and then they go and they start fucking with the supplies that the average people, average Americans, is chipping in and sending these supplies down there. They jumping in, fucking that up. You ain't paid for none of it, but you fucking it up. Okay, so why is it? I mean, like, how hard is this to understand? If you don't have money, don't spend it. You know what I mean?
So real quick, I want to give a fact check real quick. So apparently we did have 5.7 billion in debt, or trillion in debt when Clinton left. He said billion, but he corrected himself down here. It said trillion, not billion.
Okay, let me address that. Let me address that. There's a difference between the national debt and what they call a deficit. A deficit is when you take income against expenses and you either have a surplus or you have a deficit. Now, the deficit is if you spent more than what you took in.
And Clinton flipped that around. Right.
Yeah. If you can't pay that debt, then that gets kicked into the national debt. And each year that's gone by, no president wants their administration to look bad or look weak. So to try to look as good as they can, They overspent their budgets, and then they kicked the can down the curb for the next guy. And
Yes.
each year that there's a deficit, that keeps getting added to the national debt. And that national debt kept growing and growing. Hell, Bush created, what was it, 5 trillion in debt. Obama went in his 2 terms in office, he created 12. Just between those 2 guys, they account for 17 trillion of the U.S. debt.
That's humongous.
And just those two terms that each one did. And it continued to grow and grow. And once it hit 20, we were supposed to collapse then. But somehow Trump pulled some sort of business things or some accounting tricks, whatever, and it kept us going. Now we're at 35 trillion. We can't even pay the interest on the loan. I mean, man, we're in bad shape. I mean, if you had a credit card and it's 2 or 3 times what your income is, you got no chance. And every time you pay a payment, it continues to grow and grow on its own. You can't do nothing but file bankruptcy or go into a depression. That's the only way out. You're going to have to do a restart. You're going to have to start all over, cancel the debts, which is going to kill you in the world economy, in the world markets, because nobody's going to want to take your money if you do that. And you're going to have to start all over with a new currency, a new business plan, and get yourself going. Or you're going to have to fight a major war right now and reduce world population and sell a bunch of weapons to both sides so that you can come out of this like we did during World War II. We supplied different people and we came out of it smelling like a rose. So you're going to have to do a restart at this point. It's just that damn bad. And the average person on the street that says, oh, those politics don't apply to me, what they do up there has no effect on me. Oh boy, there's a tidal wave coming and you just can't see it. But I'll stop there.
Well, so what you got, Mike? What are you thinking?
I think, you know, the one thing that you actually asked the best question of the night, and it's actually got me pondering, like, no joke, I'm kind of stewing on it, is if we saw something work and it worked so well, why wouldn't we go back to something that worked? Like, what is the bureaucracy? Who's paying who to get us to not do something? You know what I mean? Like, I always want to go, like, I want to follow the money. What is going on here? Why is this happening? You brought that to mind. I was like, oh my God, I'm mind blown by that. You know, like that could fix so many things right now. If we could just go back to the gold standard. Why don't we? What's the like, what is the issue? Why wouldn't we be able to do that? What are your thoughts on that? Honestly, like, who's influence?
Okay. Rhodesia did that. They thought they could print themselves out of debt. Didn't work. At the end of World War II, Germany thought they could print up a bunch of money. Yeah, Rhodesia did.
I've never even heard of them.
That was some Anwar Republic or something in Germany thought that they could print a bunch of money and buy themselves out of trouble. Once you start printing all that money and you go back on a gold standard, now so many dollars will equal so much in gold, and you have to have it to prove it. We've printed so much money, and a lot of it we didn't even print. It's just computer numbers. I mean, we give Ukraine so many billion. We're not shipping cash over there. That's all credits on a computer. We're going to be held accountable for all that. Do we got enough gold to support all that? Nope, not even close.
What is this right here? Hold on. Put that back up, Mike.
My comments were broken. Hold on, I don't even know where it is. Hold on, let me go back to it.
Didn't nobody say Clinton took us off the gold standard? Read the fucking question before you start commenting.
I don't even know where I left off.
No, he said that they took him off the gold standard in 1930. No, hold up. He said that they took him off the gold standard in 33. That's not true. Took it off the gold standard in 72. Nixon took it off the gold standard in 72.
Where did it go?
On the dollar in 74. We didn't say anything about Clinton doing anything with the gold standard. Clinton eliminated debt. That's what we was talking about.
Now, what he's talking about in 33,
is it right
the
there?
Federal
Yeah.
Reserve,
No.
the Federal Reserve made it illegal for the American public to own gold back then. So the American public had to turn in all their gold, and they were given U.S. Federal Reserve notes in return. So that's the reason that he's getting the 33. In fact, you were faced with $10,000 or so many months in jail, or a combination of both, which back then during the Great Depression, $10,000 was a fortune. So I know what he's talking about.
Yeah, that was during the war effort, though.
Right.
Right. That was not the gold standard. They was
No.
taking all that to use for the war effort. Two different things. So let me ask you this. I'm gonna ask you both. Now, you know, if you start the CBDC, we already know that's going to be fully digital. Okay, they're going to know every single thing you do, every penny you spend, every dollar you make, whatever. There is no more side hustles, no nothing. Okay, every dollar
That's like
you
the
make,
scariest thing I've heard so far is actually that.
Yeah, it's going to actually be tracked and taxed on every single thing that you have.
The government knows everything that you have in your house, in every single person's house. They know everything about you. Yeah,
exactly. So if you remember, Mike, and this is before Aaron even came on, we did a couple shows talking about this. Remember, we was talking about the 15-minute cities. We was talking about remember we was talking about how they was going into right. We was talking about going in the stores, and they had the chip implanted where you can use your palm to be able to buy stuff.
Yep.
We was talking about over in China how they was able to, which they're doing right now, which you can go through and they would be able to do a facial recognition and be able to find you, put your picture up as to what you had done, let everybody else know what you done, and then use your social credit score. Remember, we start talking
I do
about
remember that
months ago.
Oh, okay. Dude, no, that was over a year ago, by the way.
Yeah, well, going on.
I was recently looking on this. It was insane.
Yeah, so this is stuff that we've been talking about. We've been talking about it for, we started talking about it almost a year ago.
Yeah, that's right.
Now,
you're right. Mm-hmm.
Now you seeing it, and it's starting to be more up close and personal. Like, okay, this can really go on. You know what I mean? A 15-minute city is not out of the question.
No. And that was almost like, at the time, me and you were talking about it, like, we're kind of like, all right, that's kind of conspiracy theory type shit. But hey, we love talking about shit like this, why not?
Right.
And then, yeah,
and how many
it's
times
kind
have
of
we
realistic.
talked about doing that? And I said, I know this may sound like a conspiracy theory, but this is actual facts.
This could actually fucking happen. Right. This could actually happen in our society. It's totally, it's doable.
Right.
Like if someone implements it, who's to stop it? What are you going to stop it? You know what I mean? Like, yeah, this is kind of crazy that we're coming to this type of reality.
But in order for that to even take place, you have to completely bankrupt the dollar. That's the only way that can even take place. And that's exactly what they're doing. You know what I mean? So, probably the reason why the question isn't asked is because you don't really want to know the lie they're getting ready to tell you, because they already know what this shit's about. They already know. We're just finding out about it. But as much as they can keep you, as we kept talking about before, long as they can keep you distracted and concerned on something else and divided on this, then they can control everything else that goes on. So like I said, how many times have we said, Mike, every time you see something mainstream that this is all they're talking about, all this other stuff's coming right around the side that ain't nobody really paying attention to. And this stuff right here has been one of them subjects that nobody's paid attention to.
No fucking kidding.
Until now. You know what I mean? How many shows have I been telling people to go on gold? How many shows have I told people to go on there and do that?
You have, like, actually,
For
now that I
months
think
and
about it,
months.
you've been saying it forever.
Yeah, for months and
Since
months
the
and months, I've been
beginning.
telling people to go on there and buy gold because this is what they're gonna do.
You've been saying that shit for, like, since the very beginning. That's what's crazy about that. I never really thought about it like that. You're right. You have. You saw this shit coming.
It's crazy. You know what I
Yeah, it
mean?
is crazy.
But if you can see, just take a second. Just take a second. Everybody, just take a second. And think about your society, your community, your state, your town that you live in right now, and picture it where you have no dollars. That everything is fully digital, that you got to wear the mark to buy groceries, where the government can tell you what you can buy, what you can't buy. If you don't bought too much, it'll tell you you can't purchase this with your money. Okay? Think about that. You remember the old movies we watched? Like, remember the old movies that they talked about stuff like this, like Hunger Games and stuff like that, where you worked the days, like you worked all day and you got, just like a little bit of something,
Like, yeah,
know.
you got a little something, and your credit or score went up by 1 per day or whatever. Like,
Right,
ding,
right,
like,
and
all right,
right,
your
and you're
social
able to
credit.
use that in order to buy something,
Yeah,
I
yeah.
mean, like, just like the social credit score.
Yes, it's real.
If your number drops down so low, you can't buy anything. You can't go in the store and buy nothing.
You don't qualify. Sorry, homie.
Exactly.
You too much of a douchebag. You know what I mean?
Yeah, like this is
Simply.
all. Yeah, this is all real stuff that can happen at any given time. I mean, and it's like this
Crazy.
is what it's slowly going down to. But like I said, as long as they can keep you distracted and divided and discerned and thinking about some other stuff, and by the time everything falls in place, you're like, hold on, when this happened, it's too late. It's already here. You know what I mean? So it's not it's not the president we need to be worried about. We need to be worried about these other motherfuckers that's passing these bills that can put this stuff in place. These are the ones we need to worry about. These
No
House
kidding.
members, these senators, these are the ones that we need to be worried about. These are the ones
Everyone's
that you need
way
to be
too focused
questioning.
on the presidents and all this shit. Well, keep that same energy, for the same shit for local office, where you live, all that shit. Why doesn't anybody do that? Because you'll actually get change. Like, if you're voting, a lot of times people are voting for the president because what they can do for them, right? Now, that's kind of like, I would say that's some that majority of people kind of look at. I don't know, man. I just look at this very interestingly. Like, this is a very interesting topic, man. And I'm glad that we were able to talk about this. You know what I mean? Like, this has been probably one of the best subjects that we've had in a very long time. And Archbishop, I got to commend you, dude. Like, this is your every single week, dude. You come up with some of the best topics. I got my hat is off to you.
I'm just watching this stuff. You know what I mean? Like, finding these
I
topics.
know you are. That's why I really respect
hard,
what the fuck you do.
because I'm paying attention to what's going on here. And I'm like, okay, you know what I mean? This is stuff that people need to know. You know what I mean?
You're right. But people, why wouldn't they? Like, you would have way more effect. Like, for instance, if you just like voted for the people that are local office, they would actually affect you more than a president would. But why wouldn't they keep the same energy for that? Like, I don't know. I think differently, man. And you do too. And that's why we've always we've seen a line like this. It's awesome, man.
When you think about it like this, them local leaders that you have now, them local leaders are the ones that become your House and your Senate. That's where they come from.
That's where they spawn there.
Right.
And then
that's where they come from.
Go up the ladder from there. Yeah.
Right. So if you hold them accountable there, then you're able to follow them as you go through. You know what I mean? You can't just look at a couple little ads or whatever and hear somebody sit there and,
You're right.
and talk a little bullshit for an hour and be like, oh yeah, he the dude. You know what I mean? You got to look
Yeah,
at his
that's
track
right. He's a
record.
dude, right? Yeah.
You got to look at his track record and see what he's doing up until now. Because not everybody that's running should be running. I'm gonna give you an example. I'm not gonna say no names because I know. I mean, I ain't trying to get blasted for this one, but
Right. You don't want to get wiped off the platform. Yeah.
Right. They have a election here for the county sheriff, right? And you have one sheriff that has been here for ages. That 9 times out of 10 he's gonna win. He don't lose. Okay. And usually nobody ran against him until now. You got a guy that's running against him, and he actually has a strong chance of winning. But here's the catch. Ready for it? He's a pedophile.
No way. Oh my! How does shit like that just slipping through? How?
I'm just saying.
But how? How does that shit happen? Like where they just sweep that shit under the fucking rug?
I'm just saying.
You know what I mean? That's so much bullshit. It's such a double standard. It's unfortunate because who actually suffers is the American people.
Here's the thing. How many people really knew about it? I didn't even know about it. I didn't even know about it. How I figured it out, how I knew about it.
You dug it.
One of my clients is the county commissioner.
Oh my fucking God.
And he told me. I'm like, what? I didn't even know nothing about that. Oh yeah.
Oh my God.
This is what's going on. You know what I mean? So which tells you stay with your local. You know what I mean? Keep your local accountable, because them local ones ends up being your state, ends up being your federal. That's the breeding ground. Your local is your breeding ground.
That's right. That's like if I were to get into politics, I would start at my local level here. You know what I mean? And then you just work up that ladder all the way up until I would get to like the House or whatever. Then you go from there to really into the deep of the government. You know what I mean? It's very, very layered. And and what's appealing to people in the government is that there is room for growth. Always. You can go through the entire ladder.
Yeah, it's crazy. It's crazy.
Well, I'd like to add one point here. As long as there's a such thing as something called lobbying, which is bribing our lawmakers and our decision makers, that means that a form of corruption exists. And as long as corruption exists, our people are for sale. They will vote things through, pass things, or make things happen because enough money has been deposited in their favorite charity or at offshore accounts. Lobbying should be illegal. It should not be. Anyone can enter Congress as a poor person, but by the time they get through and they retire, they're multimillionaires because of lobbying.
Yep.
And that should be totally illegal.
It should
People
be.
should have a certain morality or a certain standard that they should stand on, and they shouldn't be for sale. As long as they're for sale, our country is going to continue to decline. I mean, you go back to prior to COVID up till now, has things gotten better? Or have they gotten progressively worse? And you can answer that question on your own. That's rhetorical. I don't even have to answer that for you. Has it gotten better? Has it gotten worse?
Well, you can take a look at that. I mean, when you go to the gas station, the grocery store, I mean, anywhere, you see that everything is higher. Everything's higher. You know what I mean? But think about it like this though. It's higher here. But think about if you take a trip and you go to England, or you go to France, or you go to Europe, and you go to exchange your money for local currency, and say you take $1,000. I'm like, oh, I got $1,000. I can be able to move around and do what I want to do. And then when they cash it out, your $1,000 turns into $400.
Yeah, $418. Yeah. It's straight up.
You know what I mean? This is real.
Yes, it is.
You know what I mean? Like
I was going to say, that's the reason why it's so important to invest right now in tangible assets, land, real estate, gold, silver. It is so important because those things hold their value and they go up in value. There's this other stuff, man, it's fantasy money as far as I'm concerned.
You're right. It is fantasy money because it is a social construct. Like let me just explain, like if I could collectively get everyone to agree that monopoly money had the exact same currency and we were going to trade that out, as long as everyone believed it, yep, it would hold just as much value. You know what I mean? It's very weird. And because gold doesn't back it, there's nothing behind it. It's just a print. All the real part about it is, yes, it's a physical piece of paper. Yes, it's a physical piece of paper. But outside the mind, show me value. Other than that piece of paper, you can't. You know what I mean? Which is crazy. It's very scary.
And I'm gonna say, going along with the tangible assets, you make sure that you hold that stuff. You don't leave it in somebody else's vault to hold it for you. Because if you can't hold it in your hand, you don't own it as far as I'm concerned. So I'll stop there.
Yeah, I think that'd be a good point for us to stop for the evening. We done covered a lot of stuff.
That was legendary.
Man, like I said, people, you pay attention. Pay attention.
No fucking kidding.
I said this summit is going on for another day. It started yesterday. It ends tomorrow. But you can go, if you look on the news, they're not going to really tell you nothing. Go on YouTube and actually look at look at the actual live footage on it and listen at what they're on there talking about. It's like I said before, this is real. You know what I mean? We can keep sitting here with the blinds closed and acting like it's just gonna pass by and you're not gonna catch it, or you're gonna open the blinds and see for what it really is, and do your part in doing something about it. But like I said, it's another week that went by. Thank you all for coming out week after week, checking out the hold on a minute here. And checking us out every week. Like, follow, share, subscribe. Hit the like button before you leave. Share this video with someone. Let them check it out. That's what helps YouTube keep it on the algorithm. And then if YouTube don't like what we're saying, it'll also still keep it on the algorithm, because a lot of the stuff that we talk about, trust me, they don't like. Okay. Trust me when I tell you they don't like.
100%.
And they done sabotage my show as many times as I could think of. They go on and erase my hashtags, erase all them, man. They go through and erase all kind of stuff because they do not want a lot of these shows to come out. So that's where you guys are important. Hit the like button, share it, send it out, because the powers that be don't necessarily like what it is that we're saying, because what we're saying is the truth. So that's all I got. Aaron, go ahead and say yours, and we'll let Mike close it out.
Again, like I said, tangible assets, real estate, land, gold, silver. Invest some money in that direction, because that's going to be a hedge against inflation and against the devaluation of the dollar. Also, look up things that people did during the Great Depression to survive. Gardening skills, repurposing, reusing clothing, different things that they've done. Study some of that. Pick up on some of those skills, because with the hard times that are ahead, those skills will help the people in the past to get through a bad situation, and they're going to help us to get through a similar situation we're going to be faced with. I'll stop there.
Well, I want to thank each and every single one of you guys in the audience, as well as Archbishop and Aaron. Thank you guys for both bringing immense amount of knowledge on the panel every single week. I mean, it's immense, and it's amazing to watch. You know what I mean? Because a lot of this stuff I learned with you guys. You know what I mean? Like I'm sitting here actively, like I'm a student to the game, you know what I mean? And I really am someone that loves to like embrace the knowledge, you know what I mean? And it's something that I really, really enjoy. So I thank you guys for having me, and you know, it's always a great time. So make sure you guys like the video, man. Also make sure if you're on my side, man, go over to Archbishop's YouTube channel. It is the Diamond Effect. Just type in Diamond Effect on YouTube, man, and drop it in the chat. Everybody in the mods on my side, drop it over there so they can go over there and immediately follow. So anyways, much love, honor, respect to everybody. I appreciate you guys, and we'll see you guys in 7 days, man. Much love.